The technology for neuromodulation, that is pacemakers, is advancing fast. Neuralink, a famous company, is developing deep brain stimulation loop, feedback loop is being developed. Focused ultrasound is now stimulating brain regions. And most interesting, we have a neural dust nanotechnology that can act as electrodes and stimulate the brain. But for these technologies to succeed, we need to know where, when, and why to stimulate. So the challenge, the need, is to discover what are the underlying brain disturbances of mental disorders. Today psychiatric diagnosis is descriptive. It is based on symptoms and signs. We must translate phenomenology to etiology, symptoms into brain disturbances. As you can see on the left, we have the phenomenology, which are signs and symptoms, and they must be translated to brain disturbances. For that, I have created Alysis IO, Alysis being the short of neuroanalysis. Alysis IO is a platform that translates symptoms into testable hypotheses of their underlying brain disturbances. The whole theory in one picture shows you. On the left, you have the phenomenology of the major psychiatric disorders, and then you have the networks involved, the time windows in which they are disturbed, and the detailed theory, testable hypothesis for each one of the phenomenological aspects of a descriptive psychiatric diagnosis translated into etiology, the causes, the networks, locations, time scales. Psychiatric phenomenology on the left is translated to brain network disturbances within their time window scales, as mentioned before. This maps out where, when, and why to stimulate. This advancement will provide for the brain Google map of the future and domination of all neuromodulation technology. Simply, the one who will be first to map out the brain disturbances will control the whole future of neuromodulation of the brain. Alysis IO integrated to platform looks like this. The clinician diagnoses the patient regularly, DSM-based. The patient reports his symptoms just as he would have reported them to his psychiatrist. Brain imaging can be extracted from sensors put on the scalp, mainly electrophysiological one, and signal processing can give it the relevant meaning for this type of diagnosis. And as you all know, we can measure activity using sensors placed in your smartphones. All this together with Alysis will help us first generate a testable hypothesis of what went wrong in the brain of this patient, and then by analyzing the signal processing from the brain, we can validate that testable hypothesis. So we have testable hypothesis validated. This is based on more than 30 years of literature, some books that I have written and some papers. It is actually based on neural computation and thus heavily related to translating phenomenology into brain disturbance.